Hello and welcome to another video. Today I want to show you the build that I'm currently working on. As you can see, it's a Spectre build, but I'm using this belt to give my flask to my Spectres. This I combine with the perfect Alchemist roots that are these ones. These Spectres have 200% increased flask effect. They don't have flasks themselves, so I have to give them the flask, and we do that with this belt. Right now I'm using a silver flask, and because the onslaught on the silver flask scales with flask effect, this gives my Spectres, or at least perfect Alchemist roots, 60% attack speed, 60% movement speed as well. Yeah. Cast speed, I don't think that's really important for them. Then we use Dying Sun. This gives 6 additional projectiles to my druids and 39% area of effect. Right now, it could be 60%, but well, that would be the perfect or almost perfect Dying Sun, and these are expensive by themselves right now, so I don't want to change that. And because they are using Poisonous Concoction, 6 additional projectiles and area of effect, it's really nice. Then we use Boarded Faith, gives 21 increased damage taken to enemies. This one I could change technically, it's not that expensive. 120% increased damage from the implicit, and almost 500 increased, no, 400 increased critical strike chance to enemies on the consecrated ground, so that one. I'm also using Aureus Ant for clearing. It is nice to have, I guess. You will see that at the end. There is a mapping section you can watch. The enemies explode, and technically they should have 90% chance to explode, so it helps a bit, but I don't really know how to scale that damage. Because I'm not sure if it scales with minion damage or with my damage. So yeah, maybe I have to anoint Spiritual Aid to make it work, but I'm not really sure, because sometimes the explosions feel not as strong, but they help a bit. On bosses, I'm using Sin's Rebirth, because on bosses I don't have Unholy Might, so no Wither source for my minions. During mapping, it's Unholy Might on kill from my weapon, so it's fine. So I just do a quick swap. Nothing hard. Sometimes I even forgot about it, and it's not noticeable. During map bosses, it's not really needed anyway, but if you play, I don't know, pinnacle bosses, then yeah, you should switch the flask. Then my initial plan was to use this flask because I thought that 90% damage over time multiplier would be really good for minions if I get enough crit chance. But yeah, it didn't really feel that good. So that's why I switched up the setup a bit. And now I'm just going crit and not poison. And that's it for the flask. Then we are using Foulborn Severed in Sleep because it gives a lot of flat crit. I was using... Oh, I don't know if I have that one. No, I sold it. Damn it. I will put it on screen. The weapon that gives enemies, minions, flat crit, or the crit chance that the main weapon has, and minion skill levels. But this one gives a bit more crit chance, and it gives me envy. which is a lot of damage. It gives me crit multi, and it saves me 1 skill point because now I don't have to get the mastery with Unholy Might because it's on the weapon. Technically, the minions lose 29% Chaos Rest, but yeah, whatever. If I at some point feel like they die too much, then can the monkey stop? Then I could still switch it. The weapon is really cheap. Then the other gear, the Dark Monarch for double Spectre amount. Bitter point, a bitter bind point for 1 more Spectre. With Dark Monarch, it's 2. Then I have some boots with +2 to raise Spectre, because I think it's 25, level 25 we have to reach. So we get 1 more Spectre. And yeah, it also has avoid being stunned, but to that I will say something later. Then I'm using a Bone Melt with, you can apply an additional curse. That one is expensive. And I'm using that one because I'm using Despair and the other one, Assassin's Mark, somewhere. Somewhere it is, yeah, Assassin's Mark. Because it, again, flat crit and crit multi. That's really nice. Then the belt I already explained. It's just for the use of these, and of course flask charge is also nice. The gloves only gives defense basically, res and energy shield. The ring could be better actually. I should probably improve that one. It doesn't even have minion damage on it. Then we use 1 more ring for stats again, because I am in need of basically all stats, because I am using a lot of tattoos. Dex tattoos for flask duration, int tattoos for reduced extra damage from crits, and strength I just need because I don't path anywhere where strength is. And I have some things that need it, like G charge, and there were some other things that I can't remember right now. And my body armor also just basically some stats. Energy shield, Codra is nothing special, except for the flask mod on the top, again for the sustain. Then the skill tree. I am using an Ascendant because of Pathfinder here. You could, okay, I'm not in POB. You could use Pathfinder itself, because it also gives flask charges, but I don't know if there's anything else useful there, so I don't know. And the other Ascendancy, I'm using Guardian. I was using Necromancer for the offering, because I wanted to have the block chance, but because I am not using a trigger weapon, I always forgot, so Bone Offering wasn't really active. So yeah, I switched to Guardian. Another option would have been Occultist, because it gives an additional curse. I could have gotten a cheaper one here. Yeah, I wouldn't need the Implicit there. Or I could have get Max Res, or I don't know, Aura Effect. Yeah. Then it also gives Energy Shield regen, would be around 160 or something per second. That's not bad. And cannot be stunned. Because I'm using CI, I always have Energy Shield, or I'm dead anyway, so. If I would have taken Occultist, I wouldn't need these boots, but I actually crafted these boots before I really decided on the last Ascendancy. It was just Pathfinder for sure. So yeah, if we want to copy this build, then and make it a bit cheaper, then you could probably switch off Guardian and take a Cultist. But I'm using Guardian because of the reservation efficiency. That's nice because that way I can fit in Discipline. That one gives me quite nice amount of energy shield, like 1100, yeah, around that much. It also gives a bit of block chance, and every 4 seconds regenerate 50% of life. That works with CI, as you can see here. Yeah, every 4 seconds it goes up to a lot. Then I'm still not finished with the build, as you can see. I want to get these nodes here. I also think that it would be nice to fit another 12-point cluster in the build, because that one gives a lot of damage and attack speed for the minions. But yeah, I'm not sure where I would have to get the points. Oh yeah, I forgot the last Ascendancy point. The Katarina Ascendancy for 100% increased defenses for my Spectres. Because energy shield, yeah. Then I'm also using the Runecraft here for global defenses. The same reason as I'm taking that one, because I'm scaling ES. Then a small cluster for Flask Effect or Flask Sustain. That one as well, Brutal Restraint with the Trader gives Flask Effect or Flask Charges, and increase Flask Charges here and increase Flask Charges there. So I get a lot of Flask Charges. Yeah, and that should be the 3. Yeah, as you can see, I need some decks because that one is a bit annoying. And I'm using the Soul Eater Spectre Jewel here because I get 40 int here and yeah, 20 here, 20 here, 40 int. And that should be the tree. For the Spectres, I'm using 7 Perfect Alchemist Druid right now. Then I'm using 1 Perfect Forest Tiger because it gives haste and frenzy charges. 1 Turtle, Perfect Turtle for determination. That one gives a nice amount of armor. I thought, well, I'm scaling increased defenses anyway, so I should probably get that one. That is not a lot of armor, but it's something. And one, I think it's called Host Chieftain, you get from Act 7. Here in the Ashen Fields for power charges. Because I want to reach 100% crit. And since I don't really know, call me stupid, but I don't know how to probably configure a POB for Spectres. And yeah, it should be close to 100, maybe, hopefully. It's probably pretty high. Yeah, then we still have the grafts. I'm using Great Avalanche because these ones, this one spawns these spiders. And these inflict brittle, and brittled enemies, or how do I say it? Hits against brittled enemies have flat increased crit chance. I think they give around 2.5 crit chance. So that's already 12.5. Then we have Assassins marked on bosses. That's 14% just base crit chance. So that's pretty good. For the skills, Nothing really important to note here, I guess. Someone should have told me that sooner, but the mini build without the cooldown recovery for convocation and automation feels like ass. That's really important. So if it's your first mini build, first of all, it's quite expensive to put together. So you probably need at least 100 div to make it comfortable. Maybe 80, it depends a bit. Because some parts are really cheap, like the helmet costs 1 div, the weapon costs 5c, the rings, I don't know, maybe a div and another div. Like I said, the bone melt could be just a normal one, and then you would take a cultist for another curse. But the boots are expensive because you have to elevate them yourself. Like the race Spectre level, you have to get yourself. Probably, because I didn't find any on the market. Then the gloves with a lot of energy shield you have to craft yourself. The body armor, again, probably. I mean, this league it's probably a lot cheaper, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend to start this build if you only have like 30 div or something lying around, because this one alone costs 20 div or 15, somewhere in between. Then the flask cost me 11 div. So because you, especially the Dying Sun, leads a lot of duration, or all flask needed, but the less duration modifier needs to be 40%, and you need the low roll on the increased charges per use. That's really important. Otherwise, you can't sustain these during boss fights. During mapping, it's fine because you kill enemies anyway, so if you only care about that, then it shouldn't be too bad. But if you want to kill some boss with that, you will need a good roll, a really good roll. Or you get a cheap one and corrupt it for 30% quality. Sure, that's an option, but that's probably very unlikely. Yeah. And that's basically it. Yeah, the Storm Blast Mine, maybe I should mention, I'm using for bosses, because with mine field support I throw 5 mines out. That gives, each mine is 4% increased damage taken. So at 18 it's 72, maybe. Yeah, and that's really it. Now the important part of the video will start, and see you in the next one. Bye.
What secrets are you hiding in that murderous mind of yours? Valdo had some ingenious designs hidden in his memories. Observe! Valdo's designs were flawed. Do you remember dying here? Will burn away, sin! What are you? In this, the realm of the past, I am king, and you will bow.
Immortality is not promised to